everyone, and welcome back to Casual Climbers, the podcast by and for beginning hikers. I'm your host, Donna Patrick, and alongside me is my husband and adventure buddy, Roy.
Good morning.
Good morning, Roy.
So, Donna, in this podcast, we provide our listeners with tips, tricks, and reviews of some of the many hiking trails in the Blue Ridge Mountains region. Now, we may be unfit hikers.
We're definitely unfit.
But we do love the outdoors, and we want to share our experiences with you. In today's full episode, we are in the Chattahoochee-Oconee National Forest and discuss the Long Branch Loop Trail. We also have a fun fact about the Chattahoochee-Oconee National Forest and review one of my favorite stops in the area, Expedition Bigfoot.
Woohoo.
What do you say, Donna? Ready to get started?
Let's go. So here's the Long Branch Loop Trail by the numbers. The distance, 2.45 miles. It's a loop. The time it took us was 1 hour and 22 minutes. 1 hour and 19 minutes of that was moving time. The lowest point is 1,827 feet. The highest point, 2,099 feet. So that's a 272-foot elevation change. The friendliness pets are allowed. We did see dogs on the trail.
We did.
It's not mobility friendly. You're not going to get a wheelchair.
Definitely not a wheelchair and probably not a mobility scooter.
Yeah.
It's not overly rocky and rooty, but it's enough to where it would prevent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to get there, search for ASKA, A-S-K-A, Trails Parking Lot, and that's near Blue Ridge, Georgia, in your map app. Now, the parking lot is medium-sized, maybe enough for 15 vehicles. We counted 10 vehicles when we were leaving, and then there was room on the other side for 4 or 5 parallel park cars.
Yeah.
And overall, though, Donna, it's a fairly easy trail. I found it an absolute pleasant walk in the woods.
Yeah. So the debate is, okay, so from the parking lot, you have to walk up to where the loop begins. And then your choices, of course, always clockwise or counterclockwise.
Mm-hmm. In my opinion, I don't think it matters which way you go in this one. There's no easy or hard. It's pretty simple.
Here's what I'm going to say. We went counterclockwise, and that's what I think All Trails was recommending. You come across, I think we came across more bits of the water that you could maybe put your feet into.
The creek is definitely on that side of the trail. On the other side, there was very little water.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So here's my thing. I came away with some very dirty boots because there was lots of mud puddles, even though there was no water really to put your feet in, like your boots in if you want to clean them off, like as you're finishing the trail.
Not going that way, but if we were to gone the other way, there was deeper parts of the creek that you could have.
Yeah. Yes. So my boots would have come away cleaner had we gone clockwise. The argument I think for going counterclockwise is you kind of start off going down a little bit. It's a downgrade. So that's going to be up if you do it clockwise.
That's fair. I mean, overall, though, compared to many of the other trails that we've done, I barely noticed the elevation change.
Yeah.
It was pretty flat. I mean, 272 feet over the course of 2.5 miles is not that much.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, I didn't feel it. And I don't know that you even had to stop any of this to catch your breath.
So funny that you say that. I think probably the hardest incline of the whole trail was getting to the loop.
Oh, just the spur part at the beginning?
Yeah, walking from the parking
probably. Yeah, probably. Which you're going to have to do no matter which way you go.
Yeah. And you're going to go up to the loop and you're going to go down coming back from the loop, which is nice. Because if you are tired, then,
it's easier.
But we did see, when we were finishing the trail, we like I said, we saw dogs, but we also saw families with kids, dads with babies in backpacks,
Yeah. All Trails rates this trail as easy. And I actually agree with it. I found this to be an easy trail. It was nice. It was a nice, pleasant walk.
Yeah.
You're not going to get any great vistas, but you do get the creek. There's no waterfalls.
There's curves and turns, and there is some up on one side, down on the other. As we were coming close to finishing.
You do look down into a valley.
Yeah.
there. I mean, it's covered with trees, so it's not like you're looking deep into a valley, but
Well,
it's still
yeah.
nice.
Yeah. And we're in March of 2025, and the trees had not really gotten, they're just starting to get their leaves back.
Yeah, what did we
So-
see? We saw like leaflets just budding
Yeah.
off the trees, and we saw some rhododendrons that were just starting to grow, had not yet bloomed yet. And that's another one of the nice things about this trail is that there are thickets of rhododendrons, there's thickets of mountain laurels.
Mhm.
So in the spring, I'm guessing this is
Beautiful.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are some ruins, some homesteading ruin, and I looked it up and I tried to find out who lived there, but
I found no information
Yeah.
either. I wanted to see.
it's
So
kind of neat. It's just a chimney, some rock. You can kind of see the foundation of where
Right.
somebody lived.
it's about half a mile in if you go counterclockwise like we did.
And if you go the other way, then it's about 2 miles
It's
in.
about 2 miles in, yeah. It's neat because it's clearly over 100 years old,
You kind of have to look. So we had to look off to our right,
going counterclockwise.
going
Yeah.
counterclockwise.
It was up a little
Mm-hmm.
on a hill,
Yeah.
so you had to walk a little. I mean, the climb up there wasn't bad, but there's no easy path there. It's not like there's a driveway going up to it or anything.
Exactly.
So you just have to kind of walk up. But yeah, it was neat. There's clearly cobblestones from a foundation
Mm-hmm.
that are strewn about. And Donna's going to put the pictures on Instagram. And then the hearth that's there. And it's really kind of neat. And thankfully, we didn't see any garbage in there, which is unusual because we often see litter.
Yeah, and it's always
Yes.
encouraging. My sister in Colorado, she just put something on Facebook about how it was just her birthday and she went for a hike and she took a garbage bag and she picked up trash on one of the trails
Good for
that she
her.
likes right near where she lives.
Good
and-
for her.
Yeah.
I hate that people litter. Just put it in your backpack or pocket. God's sake. It's not that hard.
But yeah, so there's enough of us out there that are willing to,
I think so. You and I pick stuff up if we see it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So, yeah, the ruins are great.
yeah.
They're kind of neat to look at. You're not going to spend a ton of time there. Though there is enough clearing if you wanted to have a picnic. You could probably do that.
Yeah.
There, I would think. Yeah. And so the stream follows maybe for a mile and then it goes back up into the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see a waterfall, but you do hear it. And there were several spots that you could get your feet in.
Yeah.
To the stream.
No
And-
benches.
No, not a single bench throughout.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice too many down trees either.
No.
So, I mean, that's a little far south for Helene to have done any damage.
I think it did hit Blue Ridge, Georgia.
It might have, but
Because I think I don't know. I think this is just a well cared for area, or maybe this particular area got spared. But
compared to what we've seen in last
Yeah.
week's episode was, the whole trail was just,
devastated.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see any down trees. But given how fairly easy this trail was, I certainly didn't see a need for any benches.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't. I usually if it's a difficult trail and there's no benches, then I get grumpy. But it's like an afterthought that there were no benches. Like
Right. Yeah.
oh yeah, there were no benches.
And there's no benches at the parking area, nor is there a bathroom.
Yeah. Right.
So if you have to use a bathroom, go to a place in Blue Ridge, Georgia, which is only 10 minutes away from the trailhead.
Yeah.
It's not very far. Yeah. So overall, though, how would you classify this hike?
I would classify it probably as easy.
Piece of cake?
Oh, yeah, our classifications. Yeah, probably.
I think so. Yeah. It was a nice, pleasant hike in the woods. Not too much elevation change. The footing was not rocky or rooty. So I could totally see why parents would bring their little kids there, because there's not much risk of them getting hurt on this trail compared to some of the many others that we've done anyway.
Yeah,
So yeah, would you recommend it for people in the Blue Ridge area?
I would. It was a good day.
It was a good day. Not much terribly remarkable about the trail itself, just pleasant. Just a
Yeah.
pleasant trail.
Yep.
All right, Donna, so we're going to do something different with the fun fact today, and I'm going to be reading a fun fact to you.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a reverse fun fact.
That's all right.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
So this article is from the Rabun County Historical Society and was written by Richard Sinkina. And you can access it at www.rabunhistory.org. One of the largest national forests east of the Mississippi owes its birth to an environmental disaster, Donna.
Wow.
So the history of the Chattahoochee National Forest, which takes its name from the river whose headwaters rise in the North Georgia mountains, is the story of a phoenix rising. Not from the ashes, though, but from rubble-strewn landscape left in the wake of clear-cut logging and industrial scale.
Oh, that's kind of sad.
Yeah, it really is kind of sad. But look what had happened.
Okay.
Okay, so the history of the land encompassing the Chattahoochee National Forest extends back centuries to the Cherokee.
Okay.
Their homeland, stretching across North Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, North Carolina, covers the present-day National Forest. It has been estimated that between 30,000 and 50,000 Cherokee were living in those mountains, in the Georgia mountains, by 1700.
Wow. Peacefully with the trees.
Yeah, they
Coexisting.
They didn't do any logging there.
Coexisting with the trees.
Yeah. Under relentless pressure to surrender their ancestral homeland and make way for the growing influx of white settlers, the Cherokee were forced to cede growing portions of their land to the state of Georgia. And the same thing happened in Tennessee, South Carolina, and North Carolina, and it's sad.
Yeah, it's not like the Thanksgiving, like, oh, here, have some of our land
Pilgrims
and some
bringing a
turkey,
turkey.
too. Yeah. And
right.
pumpkin pie.
Never happened. All right. The discovery of gold on Cherokee territory near Dahlonega in 1829 further fueled the desire of Georgians to possess Cherokee land.
Yeah.
In 1830, Congress passed the Indian Removal Act, which authorized President Andrew Jackson to negotiate removal treaties with the Native American tribes in the Southeast.
Negotiate. Quotation marks.
Huge quotation marks around negotiate.
Yeah.
However, the great majority of Cherokees refused to leave their homes. I mean, they're just being unreasonable.
Well, now
they've been there for 300 years. You had a good run.
Okay. I beg to
say
differ.
with sarcasm.
Yes.
As the 1838 deadline for removal approached, President Martin Van Buren, Andrew Jackson's successor, directed 7,000 U.S. Army soldiers to round up approximately 100,000 Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw Creek, and Seminole Indians at bayonet point.
That's just awful.
And march them 1,200 miles to the Indian Territory in Oklahoma. 7,000 troops, rounding up 100,000 Cherokee natives of many tribes.
The
numbers don't favor them, but
yeah,
they got it done.
I mean, well, they had years of pretending to be friends with the natives and
It's a tragic. It's estimated that more than 5,000 Cherokee from North Georgia alone died during the winter of 1838 and 1839 on the, quote, trail where they cried.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's what the Cherokee called it, the trail where they cried.
Well,
which is now known as the infamous Trail of Tears.
Yeah. Wow. 5,000.
Just from Georgia. It doesn't include the other states. Right.
That's crazy.
So while this tragedy was unfolding, gold miners poured into the Dahlonega area, preceding by 20 years the California gold rush. So think about that. When you think of gold in America, you think of gold.
Yeah.
Gold. I'm a prospector out west, but it was preceded 20 years by gold in Georgia.
Yeah.
Tons of gold was stripped from the rich veins and scooped from creeks and streams. So much gold was mined that the U.S. Mint opened a branch in Dahlonega in 1838.
Wow.
Left in the wake of the nation's first gold rush was a landscape deeply scarred by uncontrolled mining and a decimated fish and wildlife population.
Yeah, I'm guessing. Yeah, they were only interested in gold.
That's it. Environment be damned. Yep. However, environmental damage in North Georgia would soon become much, much worse and widespread throughout the region. Large lumber companies that made their way north to Georgia in the 1890s brought industrial-scale logging to the region. Hundreds of thousands of forest land were clear-cut during the first decades of the 20th century, so we're talking the early 1900s.
Yeah.
leaving a rubble-strewn landscape where giant poplars, oaks, and maples once towered over 100 feet tall.
That is so sad.
It's heartbreaking.
That is so sad.
Yeah, because somebody wanted a front porch. Yeah. The Tallulah Falls Railroad gave added impetus to uncontrolled logging by enabling companies to ship lumber to northern markets hungry for this natural resource. So they didn't even keep the lumber in the area.
Well, I mean, they had plenty of lumber in the area. They didn't need it there.
God, it's heartbreaking.
It's kind of like, when they killed all the deer and elk and everything and then sent all that fur over to England. They didn't need it here.
Yeah, but you needed that money.
Oh, my gosh.
Narrow gauge railways were built into the mountain hollows by lumber companies, blasting out entire hillsides to gain access to remote forests. So it's bad enough that they were ripping out forest, but now they're blowing up mountains and just to get a railroad to make it easier to rip out forest.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I feel a little guilty because I love tunnels. I love the Stump House Tunnel. It just, I don't know. And I know that's man-made, and I know that it was kind of, destructive to their. Also,
it is, but a tunnel at least leaves the mountain intact.
Yeah, but then when we went to Kentucky and we saw that natural tunnel,
right?
That was really impressive.
That was awesome. Yeah.
That's like the Earth said, "Okay, this is what we're gonna do."
Over millions of years.
It took him a minute. Yeah.
Splash dams were built across mountain streams to build up water to a sufficient level for holding hundreds of felled trees. When these dams were dynamited, enormous floods swept the trees down the mountain to waiting oxen and railway car. So basically, they would dam flood the dam rivers and streams.
Yeah, it sounds like
super full.
We're not cussing.
And then blow up the dam so that the water would knock down trees.
Well, bring them down river, I guess.
Yeah,
it created a river to bring them down river.
The Bird Matthews sawmill vividly illustrates the magnitude of what was happening. Located near Helen in White County, this sawmill was the largest east of the Mississippi, cutting 70,000 board feet, which is 13 miles of lumber, every day.
Every day?
At its peak in 1917.
Oh my gosh.
13 miles of lumber cut every single day.
That's crazy.
I can't imagine that.
I can't fathom it.
I can't. That number is too big for me to understand. Yeah.
Like, how many days would it take for them to get to the moon with lumber? Not very many.
A year, maybe? I don't know. In response to the devastation of the nation's forest land, Congress enacted the Weeks Act in 1911, authorizing the United States Forest Service to purchase clear-cut land with the goals of reforestation, controlling soil erosion, and maintaining navigable waterways.
Okay, so they saw that what they were doing was not sustainable. They were going to run out of this natural resource. And they were like, hey, guys, maybe we do something. Something maybe sustainable.
Let's try to protect these lands. Now, this is not a political podcast.
No.
I cannot see Congress today doing this.
Protecting lands.
At the expense of big
profit.
Business. Yeah.
But
I just can't see them doing it. They would totally let this go.
No, I can't. I still have hope because you have to see it's going to run out. You have to see it's going to run out.
Nothing good will come of this, right? Nothing good will come of cutting 13 miles of lumber every day.
Yeah.
That's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, in response, so Congress enacted the Weeks Act in 1911. Forest Service started buying land in Rabun County, where the National Forest is located, in 1913 for $7.50 an acre, which generated another bonanza for the logging companies. So not only did they rip it all out, rip all the lumber, but now they're getting paid for the land. Guess how much logging companies originally bought the land per acre?
Per acre, originally, $1.50.
Dead on.
Really?
$1 to $2 per acre.
Oh my gosh.
The loggers were only too happy to sell their now worthless land that has no trees.
Right.
To the government at a huge profit. So they paid $1.50 for it. They're getting $7.50 an acre.
Wow.
So they're getting, 4 times the amount? Yeah. Tens of thousands of additional acres were purchased from logging companies in other counties across North Georgia. On this land, together with large tracts of clear-cut acreage in North Carolina, the federal government established the Nantahala National Forest in 1920. This was the first step toward the creation of the Chattahoochee National Forest. Now, you and I have hiked in the Nantahala National Forest many times.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last week's episode we were in Nantahala.
Yeah.
So these are lands that you and I know pretty well.
And we discussed the difference between a national forest and a
national park. Right.
Yeah.
The goal of reforestation, along with managing existing stands of timber, wildlife, soil, and water, was difficult at best to achieve, since scientific forestry practices were not widely understood nor welcomed by farmers long accustomed to doing whatever they wanted to do on their land, regardless of the environmental impacts. Resentment was also widespread over the amount of land now owned by the government. It was into this setting that rangers Roscoe Nicholson and Arthur Woody came to work for the National Forest Service.
I like that. Ranger Woody. Ranger Woody to the rescue?
Ranger Woody and Ranger Artie.
Okay.
Nicholson became Georgia's first forest ranger in 1912. Under the Weeks Act, he purchased much of the clear-cut land of the Forest Service in and around Rabun County. His territory also covered large portions of North and South Carolina, as well as land in North Georgia west of Rabun County.
Now, he purchased this land with his own money or with government money?
It was government money.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the ranger, so he was authorized to purchase the land. Yeah.
Got it.
Ranger Nick, as he was known, was focused on transforming the region's clear-cut landscape, so basically tree stumps as far as the eye could see, into a thriving forest land. He was adept at overcoming resentment over forestry management through a sustained public relations program aimed at educating the public about sound forestry practices.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So he had town hall meetings and he would explain, this is why we're doing this.
This is why it's good. You want trees.
Yeah.
You want trees. Clear cutting had caused the deer and trout populations to virtually disappear in North Georgia.
Yeah, they're going to move on to greener pastures, right? They're not pastures, but greener forests.
Yeah.
They can't.
Deer are not going to stay in an open field because there is no protection or cover for them.
Exactly. And plus, they had dammed up the water and then let it go and dammed it up and let it go. And like nothing made sense anymore to the wildlife at all.
No. I'm sure birds, too. Birds were all gone.
Oh, yeah.
You rip out all their places to nest. Yeah.
We are like the aliens that go to a planet and then use up the resources and then have to go to another planet because, we're too selfish or stupid to sustain. So then you get people that come and say, hey, you know what, guys? Let's do something good for the planet.
Let's try something different. Yep.
Yeah.
So Ranger Nick shipped trout from hatcheries in Gainesville.
Florida?
Gainesville, Georgia.
Gainesville, okay.
And released them into mountain streams. He also purchased fawns with his own money.
Wow.
And fed them until they could be released in what became the Blue Ridge Wildlife Management Area in Fannin, Union, and Lumpkin counties.
Huh.
So he bought baby deer with his own money, raised them until they were able to live on their own, and then released them.
That's so cool.
Yeah, isn't that awesome? The Civilian Conservation Corps was created in 1933, right, with the New Deal legislation. There were 4 Civilian Conservation Corps camps totaling nearly 1,000 men established in Rabun County by the summer of 1933. Another 30 Civilian Conservation Corps camps were formed in North Georgia that year. They were focused on reforestation and alleviating the problems of soil erosion and stream siltation, which is over too much silt in streams.
Okay.
Yeah. In addition to planting hundreds of thousands of trees, Rabun County's Civilian Conservation Corps camps improved 6,000 acres of existing timber and worked to protect the county's remaining stand of white pines, which had become an endangered species of tree because of the logging.
Wow.
In response to the progress made by the Civilian Conservation Corps and the work of Rangers Nicholson and Woody, President Franklin D. Roosevelt established the Chattahoochee National Forest as a separate entity from the Nantahala on July 9, 1936. Today, the Chattahoochee National Forest encompasses more than 750,000 acres.
Wow.
Stretching west from Rabun County across the northern tier of Georgia counties. On November 27th, 1959, President Dwight D. Eisenhower established the Oconee National Forest on 96,000 acres of federal lands in middle Georgia.
I'm so glad they did this.
I know. The Oconee subsequently joined the Chattahoochee to form the Chattahoochee-Oconee National Forest that today totals a combined 867,000 acres.
That's wonderful.
It is wonderful. We went through some of them on our hike.
Yeah.
The economic impact of the Chattahoochee-Oconee National Forest is enormous. It is a destination for millions of visitors annually whose spending injects millions of dollars into the local communities.
Mhm.
In addition to tourism, the forest protects water resources and wildlife and operates a trout hatchery and manages responsible timber harvesting.
See, so much good
Yes.
comes from sustainability. And they're getting their gold back because the tourists are coming.
They're raising fish to release in the streams and lakes.
Yep. You get to eat,
Yep.
you get to fish and the water is cleaner.
Yep, everything. The air is cleaner.
Yeah.
And they're still allowing timber harvesting, but at responsible rates that can be sustained.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's an irony of history that environmentally devastated land gave rise to the Chattahoochee-Oconee National Forest.
Well, sometimes you have to mess up before you fix it. You have to mess up in a big way before you hey, this wasn't a good idea.
Yeah, but don't you wish we didn't have to mess up in such a big way? How many ancient trees did we lose?
How many
to
trail
logging?
trees?
Oh, yeah. How many Cherokee Trail trees? Probably hundreds,
Yeah.
thousands maybe.
People are probably just like, why is this tree all bent?
This tree's broken. We can't use it for wood, so we're going to burn it down. Totally see that happen.
Aw.
But in this case, the result was a sprawling national forest that has been a mainstay of Northeast Georgia's economy for decades, and I hope for decades and centuries to come.
Yeah. That's a good fun fact.
Yeah, a little bit of history of the
Yeah.
Chattahoochee-Oconee National Forest. I mean, it started very sadly.
You're making me want to go outside and plant a tree this afternoon.
It's never a bad idea to plant a tree.
Yeah.
Never a bad idea. So good on those rangers, right?
Yeah.
And this was a case of government actually working for the people.
Actually doing something good.
Yep.
Yeah.
So our review today, Donna, is one of my favorite places in all of the Southeast area. Expedition Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So tell us about what this is.
Okay, so you can go there and you can pay for entry. I think it's like $12 or something.
No, it's $9.
Oh, is it
Yeah.
$9? Okay.
It's a roadside museum.
Yeah.
And gift shop.
I mean, museum. It's almost interactive, right? I mean, it kind of is interactive because when you pay and then you go through, there's all these videos to watch, and there's you can put headphones on and listen to what maybe sounds Bigfoot might make, and
Yeah. It's really fantastic. So it's this roadside stop.
Yeah.
Right there in Blue Ridge, Georgia. It's right off the highway. Plenty of parking.
Mm-hmm.
Plenty of parking. Huge parking lot.
Dirt. It's a dirt parking lot, but still
dirt
plenty.
and gravel. Yeah, it's plenty big enough. You can't miss it because there's a giant wicker Sasquatch
In the
statue out front.
Yeah, we got a picture with you took a picture of me with him. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's hard to miss.
Yeah.
If you're on Georgia Highway 515, you probably can't miss it. If you do, you're not looking at the road. So,
Well,
it's huge. It's like 20
or you're
feet
looking
tall.
too intently at the road.
Yeah, so it's right off the side of the road. And they have a gift shop that we're going to talk about here in a minute, but the museum is right there. And the cost is $9 for 13 and older, $6 for kids 5 to 12, under 5 is free, and it's free for the military.
I did not know that. It's free for the military?
Active duty military. Just show your military ID card.
Okay.
And so many people listening, if you've listened to this podcast for any extended period of time, you'll know I love Sasquatch.
He loves Bigfoot.
I love me some Bigfoot. The thing that I appreciate the most about this museum is that it truly takes it seriously.
Yeah.
Like there is some deliberate scientific research going on.
Right.
And they have a lot of the stuff there.
They have a map with all of these Bigfoot sightings.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they have a theater that shows a series of movies. So you can just go and sit in this little theater and watch these movies about Bigfoot. It's if you're expecting to go somewhere and get joke Bigfoot stuff, this is not really what it is.
Well, I mean,
It's
if
they
you want
take it seriously.
they
is
do
what I'm
take it.
saying.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do take it seriously. If you want some Bigfoot stuff decor for your house, then you might find some of that stuff in the gift shop.
Yeah. We'll talk about the gift shop in a minute, but
Yeah.
just go into the museum. So the museum is bigger than you'd think it is.
Yeah, it's bigger inside.
Mm-hmm. There's like 6 rooms
Yeah.
that you can go through. Also, Donna, did you know that they have the largest permanent Sasquatch footprint cast exhibit in the country?
I did not know that.
Yeah. There
Wow.
are dozens of Bigfoot casts that they have on display there.
Yeah, I know. I knew that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that they had the biggest.
The largest permanent exhibit. Yep. It's
Okay.
crazy. It's nuts to watch it. And they also have like scientific exhibits that show what legitimate scientific research has been done based on, like if they get hair or blood samples or whatever, they're testing DNA, they're looking at the genomes and everything. So this is legitimate.
Yeah.
Like, people really take this stuff seriously.
Yeah.
I don't take it as seriously as they do, but I appreciate the effort that they're putting into it, right?
Yeah. You can have a serious conversation with them about this. And here's a spoiler alert. When you get toward the end of walking through the museum, there's this display. You can't go across there's like a fence, kind of not gate. I don't know what it is, like a barrier to keep you from going into where this display that they have. But it's like people that are pushing against a door, and they have continuous sound loop of
Right. So that exhibit is taken from a firsthand account of 2 hunters in the area where this happened.
And was that actual recording?
Yes.
Of
Yes.
these guys freaking out?
Yes.
And something attacking?
Yep. And so most of the recordings are of the Bigfoot sounds, right? That they heard, that they did record.
Yeah.
And so this exhibit is a life-size exhibit that is kind of like half of a cabin, right? These hunters were trapped in a cabin and being attacked by what they thought was Bigfoot. And so this exhibit is animatronic men
pushing against
the door pushing back, and you hear the sounds of what's going on.
Do you see like a little furry, not little, but I don't know if you see Bigfoot at all.
I don't know if you see him, no.
Yeah, he's just, but like something is pushing against that door and those men are freaking out.
Yeah. And you can put on the headphones that are there and listen to what is going on there.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was very fascinating. You could hear the fear in these men's voices. Right?
Yeah.
You could hear it. So whether or not it was Bigfoot, it was something massive.
Yeah.
That was terrorizing these people.
And it was local. Where did this happen?
It was in the Blue Ridge area.
Okay.
So somewhere around there. Not Blue Ridge, Georgia necessarily. Blue Ridge
Parkway.
Southern Blue Ridge Mountains area.
Okay.
Yeah. In addition to that, they have log entries from people who had seen it. There's newspapers. There's all different kinds of different exhibits there that you can go through.
Yeah, and they even touch on Yeti.
Yep.
The white.
And they have the Cherokee lore about the Sasquatch that we covered in a previous episode. So all in all, you could spend a good 2 hours at this museum easily if you took your time.
Yeah. I see a lot of families with little kids, little boys, maybe in particular, that are super excited to learn more about Bigfoot.
It's great. It's a great learning experience, right?
Yeah.
So if you go in there thinking, oh, it's not real, you might come out going, maybe it is. Because their evidence is compelling, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's just be clear about this. There has never been one captured or found.
Right.
So, and that's what the mainstream scientific community is saying. If it existed, we would have found one or captured it. And that's true. That's a very solid point.
That's a point.
But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
We're still finding new sea life way, way deep down in the ocean. We're still, do we really know all there is to know?
They're finding new species in Australia. on land species. So
Yeah.
yes, that we have not found everything that exists on this planet, right?
I mean, spoiler alert, humans don't know everything.
Yeah. That is not even close. So yeah, the museum part itself is well worth it. For $9,
Yeah.
it's totally worth the experience.
We've done
right?
it multiple times.
Multiple times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they add exhibits too. So it's not just a one and done if
Yeah.
you've seen it once. No, if you're in the area, go back. They'll have new exhibits.
But you can just go in and shop at the gift shop.
So let's talk about the gift shop.
Okay. So once you've gone through the museum, you've walked all the way through, you come out kind of at the back end of the gift shop. The gift shop is where you kind of walk in. It's kind of long, and you come in, and that's where you buy your tickets to go through the museum. But if you don't want to go through the museum, you can just shop at the gift shop.
Right, which we also have done several times.
Yes, they have T-shirts, they have ball caps, they have bucket hats, they have
stuffed animals,
magnets,
coffee cups.
They've got
coffee cup that I use every day. I got there.
Yep. They have stickers to put on your car or whatever. They have
books, magazines. They have everything Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Coloring books, stuff for kids.
Stuff for grown-ups. Yeah. They have Christmas ornaments year-round, I think.
Yeah.
Which I like to get them sometimes and just hang them in the house and just to decorate with, you know?
We have one from there, a Bigfoot one that we hung on our tree this year. That was really great.
Yeah.
So, yeah. The gift shop is not very big, just so you know, but there is a lot of stuff to go through there.
Yeah.
And their t-shirt designs are really good. I buy a t-shirt almost every time I go there.
Yeah.
I probably have 5 t-shirts in my closet with Bigfoot on it.
You were gonna buy a t-shirt that day because the shirt that you wanted a long sleeve shirt. You just wanted another long sleeve.
Yeah, the one I had it was too long.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, let me just stop in. We're here anyway. And they didn't have any because spring is coming.
Yeah, so they had switched out all their long sleeve shirts for short sleeve shirts.
Right. So if you want a long sleeve shirt, go fall, winter.
Yeah.
Or, call ahead and ask them if they have it. They'll be happy to answer it.
Yeah, they're super friendly. The people, they're so
Couldn't
knowledgeable.
Be nicer. Yeah.
And friendly. Yeah.
And are willing to talk to you. Like, they want to hear your Bigfoot stories.
Uh-huh.
They want to talk to you about Bigfoot. So let's tell them how to find the place.
Okay.
It's at 1934 Georgia 515. It's in Blue Ridge, Georgia 30513. And the website is www.expeditionbigfoot.com.
Mm-hmm.
So they obviously got this before the TV show did. But if you search for Expedition Bigfoot in Google or Bing, either one, it's hard to find.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because the TV show keeps coming up over and over and over again.
I didn't know that.
So if you don't want to use the direct link, you can just search Expedition Bigfoot Georgia, and it will come up.
Yeah,
that way.
Or,
yeah,
Blue Ridge. I look up Bigfoot Museum in Blue Ridge, Georgia.
It'll come up then.
Yeah,
yeah. So would you recommend this?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a great stop. It's a great stop. Anytime we're in that area, I always make sure we stop there.
100%.
Big note though, they do not serve food there.
Right.
And there aren't really any restaurants within a couple miles of it.
Yeah.
So if you're hungry, eat before or after.
There's a really cute downtown in Blue Ridge, Georgia that has all kinds of places to eat. They do have a bathroom in there though. So
they do. Yes. They do. And you don't have to get a museum ticket to use it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd recommend it too. Absolutely. If you're there, even within an hour, I would say, drive to Expedition Bigfoot. It's a great museum. Maybe it'll change your mind.
Yep. So
that's our show this week, guys. Long Branch Loop Trail in the Chattahoochee-Oconee National Forest. It's a nice, pleasant, leisurely hike in the mountains that is not going to overly tax you, but it'll give you a nice bit of exercise in a beautiful setting. We also talked about the history of the Chattahoochee-Oconee National Forest and how it started as just a big field of tree stumps.
Yeah.
And we also talked about Expedition Bigfoot, the great museum there, and gift shop in Blue Ridge, Georgia. Can't recommend going there enough.
Yeah. Thanks so much for listening. Please like us and subscribe to us in whatever podcast app you use. And be sure to leave us a review because that's how our show grows. Feel free to check out our trail photos at casualclimbers.com or on Instagram at Casual Climbers Podcast. If you have a question, comment, or just want to drop us a line, you can reach us at casualclimberspodcast@gmail.com.
So, Donna, we have 2 grandchildren on the way.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the lookout for Bigfoot stuffed animals
Mm-hmm.
for our little grandbabies that are coming. The only ones they had there were long fur, and that's not good for a baby. They'll
Yeah.
choke on it. You don't get it because babies suck on everything, so they're going to suck on that. So we won't get that there. But I'm thinking about, what do you think about the idea of maybe finding a little baby Bigfoot so that our grandchildren can grow up with little baby Bigfoot,
What are you talking about?
like a
Like
real,
an
like a real one?
actual,
Yeah,
like a live
yeah,
Bigfoot?
yeah.
You want
What better protector in the world for our grandbabies than
what?
than a
What would that
Bigfoot?
be? Would that be a pet? Would that be a companion? What I
Be a companion. Yeah, I don't think you want to call him a pet. That's a sentient creature.
Okay, but I don't think you can own a sentient creature. I don't know how that works. Like the child would have to, the Bigfoot child would have to choose to come live with
If you get
our
him as a
grandchildren.
baby, right? They're not going to know any different.
You also have to have a Bigfoot mama who's willing to give up their Bigfoot baby. And
if I ask nicely,
Oh, really?
yeah.
I
How
just-
about this? You make besties with everybody.
Mm.
How about you ask? Next time we're out in the woods, can you ask?
I want you to make sure that your will is up to date, okay? If you're going to be asking a Bigfoot mama.
If I'm
for
going to
her
get my
baby.
will up to date, you're not going to be on it. Because this sounds very threatening right now.
I'm not
I
trying
do
to be.
not feel safe.
I just, whatever
I do not feel safe right now.
You shouldn't with ideas like taking a Bigfoot baby away from a Bigfoot mama.
They're adorable, though, I bet.
I'll bet.
I bet they're adorable.
They might smell funny, though.
Maybe. Well, we have a bath. We can wash them.
Okay. All right. We're not doing this anymore.
All right. Well, then we'll just see each other on the trail.
Yeah. See you on the trail.